today, so, we only got one beer, I think, some of us, and some don't have any, so let's get to it. So, again, my name is Brian. I'm sort of a class of 2003, I guess you would say, in terms of Hodag years. And, it's great to come back here and see everybody, see some really old and good friends. And the Hodag community is one of the greatest things I've ever been a part of, and it thrills me every year to see this sort of come back. So with that, we're going to get right into it. I'd like to introduce Nate Franz, who's going to talk about our Kevin Crowley Award winner.
What'd you say? You got that part. All right, my name is Nate Franz. I got to play with Brian Paradise. That was the highlight of my career. And I am introducing this year's Kevin Crowley Award winner, which is fantastic. If you guys don't know, the Kevin Crowley Spirit Award is voted on annually by the outgoing Hodags around someone who displays unbelievable amounts of spirit, courage, teamwork, and the rest. And so it's great to be able to read through all of the testimonies around why someone was selected and why they're here. Before we get into this year's actual recipient, I want to make sure that we thank in advance the Crowley family, who has continued to support this award. Give it up for them. I had the pleasure of being a very young person and mentored by Rubus through many different walks of life, including just being a general badass. So he's fantastic, and thank him and his family for continuing to support the Hodags and this particular award. So Mateo is this year's winner. Let's give it up for Mateo. These are just a few of the snippets that were shared by outgoing Hodags about Mateo specifically. He's willing to give it to me straight when I did something wrong on the field. Another one says he's a fighter. He's fought through it all in terms of injuries. Another one, just outstanding, uplifting spirit and dedication to the team in which they're voting for him for this award. Work ethic is always inspiring to other people. On the tournament sidelines, he's cheered, he helps, he communicates, helps the defense out across the board. If you could instill one player's attitude and dedication in every future Hodag, it would be Mateo Meyer. So that's a variety of the different things that his peers were talking specifically about him. He is not here tonight. Unfortunately, he is off playing Frisbee in Minnesota, but he met us at the terrace last night in order to receive his award in a proper, timely fashion. My job is to get those awards to people, and I'm not in textiles or anything like that, so sometimes it's taking a while. I apologize. But he was the first ever to receive it on the weekend in which he received the award. We got a chance to meet him. I got a chance to sit next to him at the terrace for a long time. And there's a few things that I agree and can co-sign on just by meeting him for a few hours. He's an unbelievably dedicated and driven. He has taken every opportunity. He has signed up for mentorship from Charlie Resnikoff, if you know him. Mateo wants to go into the medical field. He shadowed Eric Moore around his emergency room and done work with him. So he's taken every advantage that he's got in front of him, and he's incredibly driven. He's also super resilient. We were on the terrace, and it was me, and it was Opie, and it was Charlie Resnikoff, and it was Eric Moore. Zach was there. There's a lot of Ron rolled through. Even Russ was there. And if you can survive that table for a few hours, the resiliency is palpable. He heard talking about whether Matty Anderson was the best inch-for-inch Hodag of all time. He heard stories about wrestling matches. He heard how to avoid and approach jamming from a safe distance. And the dude just sat there, and it was his birthday. And we were like, what are you doing on your 21st birthday hanging out with these guys? So that resiliency was very clear. That was the true test of whether or not he should receive an award, and he absolutely crushed that one. So without further ado, you actually get to hear from him, even though he wasn't here. Again, dedication, driven, and he recorded a video for us to watch. Now.
Hello, Hodag alumni. My name is Mateo Meyer, and I am the recipient of the 2024-2025 Kevin Crowley Spirit Award. At the time you guys are watching this, I will be up chasing disc in Minnesota, so I will not be with you guys, and I will not get to meet all you wonderful people. However, I recorded a little thing over here for you guys, but I will be playing film from this year's season just so that you guys aren't stuck looking at my ugly mug for the next 2 minutes. Alright, thank you guys.
So, a bit about myself. I'm a second year Hodag and a biochemistry major on the pre-med track. I am formerly of Vermont and Minnesota, but I now live in Madison basically full time. For the Hodags, I'm a D-line handler who just loves hunting the disc around the field, and I really like playing hands and shorts defense. This season was a bit of a rough one for me, mainly because of injuries. I started off the fall in a sling after getting a shoulder surgery to fix a torn labrum. When I was due to come back after winter break, I got into a freak ski accident that ended with me being helicoptered off the mountain and no memory of the event. But through it all, the thing that kept life fun and meaningful and light was the Hodags. Attending practices injured it can really suck because you aren't getting to play at all, but it can also be really fun because you just get to heckle your teammates the whole time, and they don't really have a means of recourse on the field. And off the field, I was still completely a part of the team and got to hang out with all the dudes, and that was always that was good. That was just sick. But the reason I'm here virtually today is to honor Kevin Crowley and his legacy. Now, obviously, I have not had the pleasure of meeting Kevin, but from what I am told, Kevin was known for his dedication to the team, which he expressed in spades, both on and off the field. In the good times and the bad times, he was always there for his teammates, and he really embodied what it meant to be a Hodag. And I think that kind of provides some insight into what it means to be a Hodag. The Hodags, we're more than just a Frisbee team. It's a group of people bound around a common goal. It's a community. For every time that we step on the field, there's so many moments that lead up to that. There's obviously there's workouts and practices, but there's also dinners and study sessions and parties and snowball fights, and just team hangouts and vibes. In my opinion, the team is built just as much as those moments as by the universe points wins in Florida and California and Seattle and Texas and wherever. Now, I don't want to dwell on negative, but from what I can tell, I think that the team culture is something that may have gotten a bit lost after COVID. Obviously, there is the disappointment of us not making nationals, which has haunted us for the last few seasons. But I am a really big believer in this team, and I believe that once we get our swagger back and our team culture back, that this team has the talent, the athleticism, the grit, and the dead-headed willpower to get back to the promised land. Thank you guys for listening. I would like to thank all the alumni for your guys' contributions to the team, both on the field and afterwards. Without your contributions, we would not be here today, and I'd be a lot less happy. Also, a big shout out to this year's iteration of the Hodags. It was a blast, and good luck to next year's team. I can't wait to meet all the guys again, and yeah.
I love y'all. Enjoy the weekend in Madison. Sorry that I can't be there. Yeah, but I love. I'll see you guys in the future.
Everybody text him right now. I'm sure you'll love that. Also, consider supporting the award. We award out cleats and flights to Mateo for the season. You get a sweet jersey. Your name goes down forever, and it's attached to Kevin Crowley. So thank you for listening to this, and congrats again to Mateo.
All right, Mateo.
All right, next on the agenda, we have Jeff Mascalunas, who is the Hodag Alumni Board President. Has been for many years. We've seen lots of great things, and Jeff's going to tell you more about those, okay?
Thanks for the intro, Brian. Thank you everyone for attending. I know people come from all over. Myself, I'm from near Albany, New York. My wife, Holly, and I just recently got married, so. But she's dealt with me doing all these things for the Hodags, and this is kind of her first interaction in the integration of the culture, so please make sure to give her a warm welcome. But it's been incredible meeting new people, seeing old friends here. I don't want to say old friends because it's not like the friends are gone. You know, the fire's still there. It's just like old times. So when we're talking about the state of the program, there's a lot of things we could cover, right? I could probably be up here on a. You give me a soapbox. You know, that's a dangerous. It's a dangerous thing to give me, a lethal weapon. But I'm just going to talk a little bit about the evolution of the board, the current state of the team, and what we can do to kind of help with some of the things Mateo is talking about, some of the things that we've heard in the alumni group meet, the email list, what we can do to support the current team. So I'll start with the evolution of the board. For those who don't know the history, the board started back. The second iteration of board started back in 2017 when I was on the team. There was a first iteration of the Hodag board actually created in 2010 and 2011 by Jake Smart, where he established the endowment through the UW Foundation. They put out a couple actually well-written newsletters, and then that kind of fell apart. And my search during my time on the team, after the original alumni board had disseminated, I found these old newsletters, and I was like, we have this endowment, we have something that we can use to kind of further connect the alumni with our current players, because that was something I felt was lost during my time on the team. Like I didn't know much about the history of our program. I didn't really get an opportunity to meet and engage the alumni. And I felt like that would be something so valuable to have, that mentorship from the alumni, that connection, that passing the torch of culture, and so on and so forth. So in 2017 it started. We had the original idea of utilizing the endowment as a way to financially support the team. There was like $3,000 kind of sitting in an account in 2017 from when it started in the early 2010s, and the big goal was to hit $100,000 in the endowment. It took about 8 years of me like learning how to do this. It was very grassroots. It was so many lessons. So many people have helped me along the way. It's a laundry list. I'd be up here for the whole 10 minutes saying names. But we hit that $100,000 goal for the endowment last year, and that was huge. The board has continued to grow. We have people very engaged. Brian Paradise has been instrumental in establishing the Hodag Hall of Fame, which we'll talk about today, as well as this event, the Alumni Weekend. We have guys like John Bergen, Kelson Alexander. I shouldn't be blanking on names right now, but I am. Tom Annan, who will be here later. And so beyond that, we've seen committees develop for the Hall of Fame. We're seeing committees develop around the Hodag history and trying to maybe put like a Wikipedia page or something of that sorts. We've seen like a mentorship program develop where we actually get to engage in that one-on-one help with the current players, because we want to recognize that we're not just trying to build a great Frisbee team, we're trying to build great people and successful people when they leave Wisconsin. This is an incredible community that we've alluded to, and it has some of the best, most genuine people, and it's something we should all be extremely proud to be a part of. I really get to savor these moments when we all come together, because I miss it so much. from when I was on the team. And this is a moment where we get to come back together and just re-engage with that. So appreciated. So, when we talk about kind of the current state of the team and the state of Ultimate right now, we obviously know Ultimate is growing. In the youth scene, it's exploding. It's for other college programs. We're seeing more investment from universities. We're seeing just more buy-in from the community. And we need to make sure that we work as an alumni organization to support the current team in whatever way possible to make sure they are the most competitive team out there. They are the faceless army, or maybe there's a paradigm shift. I don't know. Maybe it might be different from the faceless army in the future. But regardless, we need to evolve with the times. We need to adapt, and we need to be at the forefront of college ultimate. So here's kind of like a few tips about how you can help out as an alumni. That's the big question, right? Is what can I do, even if I'm not in Madison, to support the current team? I think step one, just being present. Like everyone here today is doing a great job of just being present, and then we have those little conversations about the state of the team, about what the team was like when we played, and how we can work together. Beyond that, the other basics are just volunteering time and effort. As I mentioned, there's committees forming, there's opportunities on the board. So, for example, technically, both Brian and my terms are expiring on the board at the beginning of July. And even though our terms are expiring, the intent is to get fresh blood in there, new ideas, different angles, and that doesn't mean I'm stepping away from the program. It just means that we need to have some amount of healthy turnover. Lastly, there's the endowment, right? The goal of the endowment is to eventually support the team through and through for all their finances. So give what you can. I know we're all at different stages in our life, financially, however it may be, but any little bit helps the team. Lastly, I'm probably going to wrap up right there. Again, there's a million things I want to talk about and go into. Please have those side conversations with me. That's why I'm here. That's why all of us are here. Scotty Bar. I'm excited to chat with y'all. It's going to be a lot of fun. I just want to thank the past and present board members, anyone who's been involved in volunteering. To you all again for showing up. I know it's difficult, especially as we all have families, we all have commitments. Some of us are still playing Frisbee, some of us still played a tournament today and ended up here. Thank you for making time and space for this. And last but not least, Hodag love. I think I'll hand award announcement, and we're going to be playing the video.
We're going to start with the video.
We're going to start with the video.
This is the moment you've waited for. Been searching in the dark, your sweat's soaking through the floor. And buried in your bones, there's an ache that you can't ignore. Taking your breath, stealing your mind, and all of what's real is left behind. Don't fight it, it's coming for you, running at you. It's like this moment, don't care what comes after. Your favorite dream, can't you see, getting closer? Just surrender, cause you feel the feeling taking over. It's fire, it's freedom, it's flooding open. It's a picture in the pulpit in your pocket potion. There's something breaking in the brick of every wall. It's holding all that you know. Take me to your heart again. We're coming on the colonize. We're running ways of winning the night. Impossible comes true. Taking over you. We won't come down. And the sun can't stop us now. Watching it come true. Taking over you. So we call these renegades in the rain. Their lost get found in the ground in the first game. Don't fight it, it's coming when you're running at your head. So in this moment, there's something that's wrong. Lighting up, shining, shining. Just surrender, cause you're coming. Let it go. We're coming on the colonize. We're the runaways, we're running the night. Impossible those who intoxicating you. We won't come down, and the sun can't stop us now. Watching it come true, taking over you. This is the greatest show. It's coming on the lights. Runaways, we're running the night. Impossible goes true, it's taking over you. This is the greatest show. We won't come down, and the walls can't stop us now. Watching it come true, it's taking over you. This is the greatest everyone's running for you, and you see the impossible is coming true. And the walls can't stop us
All right, I think I saw Jack come in, so if you want to come up and say a few words.
Thanks for the jersey, Brindy. You guys have anything you want to talk about? You want to talk about your team? No, this is awesome. I only played with the Dags for 2 years. I started at Whitewater and then transferred here to Madison. This is going into my quote-unquote 4th year playing Ultimate ever in a sense. COVID kind of says otherwise, but yeah, this team has been so fun to be a part of. I could tell stories from, nearly vomiting on the plane to California or jumping off bridges in Texas, playing hearts on the train back from Seattle. Everything has been phenomenal. Pretty much like whatever you guys experienced in college, I would imagine we kind of did the same thing, maybe a little different, maybe a little watered down, but I wouldn't replace any other moment except, maybe not going to nationals, that kind of sucks, but but if you have any questions or anything about the team, I'm more than happy to talk about where this team is headed and how far we've come, because this team is very young. We've only graduated 5 guys this year, and that includes me, unfortunately. But our O-line, I think, had 4 rookies this year, so our future is a lot brighter. But yeah, that's the gist.
All right, we just went with the current, now we're gonna go back in time a little bit, and I'd ask Kent to come up and tell us about the history of Madison Ultimate.
Well, I can say it didn't involve train trips. Okay, this is a team shirt. It's somehow gotten smaller over the years, but well, anyways, I have get myself organized here. I want to thank Jeff and Brian for getting me the opportunity to do this. And people who aren't here that I want to thank are Gary Stroik, Andy Klein, Tracy Klein, who sent me a truckload of notes from the old days, so that I actually have something to say for 10 minutes. My memories of some of this stuff make me sometimes wonder if I was even there. But and it's getting worse by the minute. Well, let's swing it. Okay, so we started out Gary and I we were playing Frisbee when we went to college, and this was 1973. And we were just playing catch, and we found some books about Frisbee, and so we started trying all this stuff, other kinds of throws and games that you could play and stuff. And and then going up on the roof to retrieve Frisbees that had disappeared on the roof. And so we moved down here then, and there's still, before there was an Ultimate, at least in this part of the country. And we're just continuing the same thing. We were playing catch and learning new tricks and doing things like that. And then we decided that we read about Ultimate, and we thought we should try and get some people together to play that. So we put up a poster around campus, and we rented a room, or reserved a room over at Memorial Union, and we waited to see if anybody showed up, and they did. Andy Klein was one of them. He played Ultimate in Penn State. So he was familiar with the game, and he saw the notices, and he came to talk to us, and so he's just like our first recruit. And a few other people showed up. A guy named Art Vaughter showed up there too, and it turns out he had played against Andy when they were both on the East Coast. So we finally had people who knew how the game worked, and got them together in one place and started trying to recruit people from anywhere we could. We'd be walking up Bascom Hill, and we saw a guy named Stefan who was playing catch with somebody, and we went, hey, we're putting this team together, you want to be on it? And he joined, and then we found other people the same way. Gary and I at different times taught a class through the union on how to play Frisbee. We'd recruit people from there. People would walk by and see us playing, and we'd go, hey, want to come and play? And so we eventually got enough people that we could actually, have games. But then this would have been around 77 or so. By this time, a few years later, whoa, not that. This is when we hosted the 1979 Central Region Championship. So Andy found in his stuff rosters of team members and all the games we played and the scores from that. I'm kind of astonished by how much stuff he turned up. So we continued on. We found that there was a team in Milwaukee. We still haven't got a real clear idea of how we found out there was a team in Milwaukee. I think part of it is, people knew people, and they mentioned that there was this other team somewhere else. There were sort of a state Frisbee competition in Sheboygan every year around this time, and I think maybe you heard about them from through there. So we finally had an opponent that wasn't ourselves playing amongst the team, and we won. So. Yeah. That, it turns out, was played indoors in Milwaukee in the winter. And then we played them again later, and they won that one. But, so as we go back and forth and went for that, traveling was a bit of a pain. And the only way we did it is we tried to find people that had cars, and then you just go somewhere, wherever it was. The college has a student club intramural kind of thing, and we went and signed up for that, and we needed a faculty connection. So we found the physics teacher. It always seemed a little relaxed, let's say, that was playing with us and agreed to be our sponsor. So we got onto that. They gave us some money, and for some reason, some of the organizations that were part of this, that were getting money from the school for this, it bothered them that we were using the money to buy gas to go on trips, whereas they were buying stuff, swords for the fencing thing and whatever. I don't know why they cared, because it wasn't their money, but we had to fight over that a little bit. So we would go around the Midwest, Michigan a bunch of times to play both University of Michigan and Michigan State. We played in Minnesota, and I don't think we ever played Chicago, and a couple teams in Wisconsin. And we went to Indiana to play Oberlin, and that was good, except it rained a lot. And we played them anyways, and totally destroyed their football practice field. And then we left the next morning. The school wasn't out, we never got invited back. But so the things are things are different in a bunch of ways that I've seen from watching you guys play some, and by the fantastic discovery I had one day that there was a professional ultimate team.
No union.
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea. We used to talk that our wildest dreams was to get ultimate into the Olympics, and here there was professional teams already. So I felt so out of touch. But so we hope for that. That didn't happen while we were doing things, but then we just kept going the same way. I mean, somewhere around the late 70s, early 80s, people started to drift away, and the founding crowd, went off to other places. And this gathering has been important for me because I've gotten in touch with people I haven't seen in like 40 years. So that's been great. And now, especially after this meeting, Gary and Andy and Tracy and I and Brad, who were there.
I'm one of them.
He's like a transitional element. He was, part of the team back then when we started, and then we kind of left and he stayed, and so there's a connections there that we can track down. And talking to him today, we've got a whole bunch of different stories, and it's been great. So we want to try and make a more kind of proper history out of it. We've been talking to Jeff about that too. And I think this has gotten me, reignited to want to work on that, especially discovering how much stuff they have, all these papers they had piled up. And through the mailing list and just contacting people, we found some people we haven't seen for a long time. Is anybody else from when I was there here? I saw some names go by in the emails, but I don't know whether anybody actually came. Okay, I guess not. Fine.
We'll take them on, a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious. Okay, so questions, comments, complaints? I can see the connection with this, but you guys have taken the game in a whole different way than we ever imagined. I know just from an example of watching some of this stuff, you're talking about, okay, you got the O-line doing stuff. There wasn't any O-line. We got, the game started, we lined up across from each other, so it goes, that means I'm tracking that guy. And then I chased him around, and then he chased me around when we went the other way. That was offense and defense. You just, which direction you were chasing the guy. There weren't separate teams for that. We didn't swap everybody out between plays. It was, it's really interesting how different it goes. And we used to yell at people for throwing overhead. And talking to Brad, because we didn't practice it enough, so it was real loud. So lots of things have changed, and I've really had a good time this weekend. You know, meeting a bunch of people and reconnecting with a few people that I haven't seen for a long time. Thanks for having me here, and we'll keep in touch through the graybeards thing. And we'll try to put this together. If you've got stories, we'd love to hear them. One thing I want to do with people, especially us older guys, is I want people to tell us their origin story. How did you come to find us? Because we were trying to discover that to put some kind of talk together was, well, where did we find this guy? Where did this guy show up from? How did we know about Milwaukee? I still haven't got a good idea of how we met in Milwaukee. So, you know, if you said, yeah, I saw this guy's playing and I went over, that's what I want to hear. I mean, you guys probably didn't. Well, you might have seen these guys playing. You probably didn't stop by when we were playing.
I was a mere, no one knew about me then.
Yeah, I think this shirt is older than most of you. So if you have stories like that, or know people who have stories like that, we're going to try and contact them through your mailing list, because there's a bunch of people on that. You know, let us know, because that'd be fun to do. I've had a good time with this, and I'm really pleased you invited me here. So thank you very much.
All right, so we've now come to the sort of reason that we've sort of come together, beyond just getting back together as alumni to celebrate those that are special in the program's history. And that is the Hodag Hall of Fame. Obviously, it encompasses more than just Hodags, because the Hodags didn't become a thing until, or officially be the name until the 90s. So there's a couple people, obviously, that were voted in this year that are not here this year, that may celebrate next year with their get-together and that sort of thing. So I'd just like to mention them. One is Jethro Yu. He has since passed. I understand that his son does play Ultimate here in Madison, so we're working to try to get him back into town to accept the award for his dad, if he chooses to do so. And I've been in contact with his wife as well. She says it's quite an honor for him to be recognized, and the hope is that, you know, at some point we'll be able to formally recognize him or his family at this ceremony. The second is Matt Rebholz, who has opted, because of family issues this weekend, to wait until next year when he'll be coming back for his formal induction ceremony. Just so you guys know, the Hall of Fame means nothing without the votes and the input from all the alumni. And, you know, we started off pretty strong a couple of years ago with a lot of alumni input, a lot of stories, a lot of emails going back and forth, and a lot of votes coming in. And the goal, obviously, every year is to increase the participation, because every year there is more and more alumni. And I understand it can be hard to vote for people because you didn't play with them. And that's why it's so important that you read the stories, that people tell the stories, that people, you know, send out that information via email about how good this guy was. Whether it's on the field, whether it's contributions off the field, whether it's their whole Frisbee career. Let people know about these nominees, because they are truly just wonderful people and amazing Ultimate players, okay? If you're making that nomination list, it is a huge honor just to be nominated, because that means people hold you in such a high regard, okay? But that's not enough. You gotta tell the stories, you gotta vote, so that when we decide who is gonna be inducted, the board that does that knows exactly where people are coming from, okay? And so without further ado, I would like to turn it over to Kel Schaff, who is going to introduce our inductee this year.
Yeah.
Hey folks, as Brian just said, my name is Kel. I graduated in '99, and that's where I first ran into Opie. if you were like me, you got the email this year letting us know who the inductees were, and I read Opie's name and I said, yeah, obviously Opie should be in the Hall of Fame. That should go without saying. But sometimes you should say the things that should go without saying, and that's what I'm going to spend a few minutes doing here today. So what is it about Opie that makes it such an obvious choice? There's some obvious things, right? Like, has the guy played a lot of quality Frisbee? The answer to that is obviously yes. Before he was even a Hodag, he took his high school team to a state championship. He played Junior Worlds where they took third. Then he came to Wisconsin, played 4 great years here, co-captained the team for 3 of those 4 years. Went to nationals twice. Brown and pool play as a junior, right? And senior year, you guys went to quarters, and he was also 5th in the Callahan voting that year. Played a couple of years at club in Madison. We went to nationals twice with them. After that, he went out to DC, played with Anodyne. You guys went to Worlds in what, like 5th, 6th, something like that?
5th in the world.
Right? Like, this is a glittering resume. The guy has played a lot of Frisbee at a really high level for a very long time. So he checks that box. He's also given a lot back to the Ultimate community. We've heard about the Kevin Crowley Award. Opie has been instrumental in administering that for a lot of years. It's an important part of the Hodag tradition, and it doesn't just happen. It requires work to do. You know, people have to collect the votes, read all of those testimonies, figure out how to present them, just do stuff like collect money, allocate money. And Opie has put in a lot of time on that front, as well as coaching a high school team, I think, in DC, starting a high school league in DC, like trying to bring the next generation into the sport. And I know this is Frisbee oriented, but I see some of this in his professional world too. For those of you who don't know, Opie studied journalism here. He's now a reporter at the Washington Post. And he's involved with something called the Center for Journalism Ethics out of the University of Wisconsin, which, as the name suggests, seeks to recognize and promote integrity and ethical behavior in the journalistic world, which now, more than ever, is an important thing. And I'm 0% surprised that someone who was a Callahan finalist and does things like support the Kevin Crowley Award is doing the same thing in his professional life. So that could be enough, right? I could stop there, and there's enough there to say, yeah, that's like Hall of Fame material. But it doesn't get, for me, to like that visceral sense of like, yeah, this guy really belongs there. And the best way I know how to describe why I have that reaction is just to tell a couple of old guys' stories, right? About what was it like playing with this dude. So I'm going to take a minute to tell 2 stories, 2.5 maybe. The first was like a first impression story with Opie. Like, what did I think when I first met him? And so Opie asked me to give this speech. And I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? And when I was in college, I was kind of like a nerdy, self-absorbed guy, and now I'm a nerdy, self-absorbed, middle-aged guy. But like, part of what that meant is like, I kept a journal for a lot of college. And it wasn't every day, but like, I wrote stuff down. And so Opie asked me to do this, and I'm like, God, I wonder if there's any material in there. Like, I'm gonna go back and look. And sure enough, like, there was good stuff. And it was all basically complimentary, but each year, especially, like I would take some notes on who was on the team that year and what were they like, and some, you know, a lot of them are in the room, right? So like, for example, Ron Kubalanza was in there. I had played a couple seasons with him, and it said, Kubalanza, still tough as nails, not to be fucked with lightly, like don't underestimate him. That is still true, that has been true for as long as I've known this guy. The first season I met Matt Bruss, it just said, this is like one of the best natural athletes I've ever met. And that also has remained true. Like, the guy's a stud. And then I got to Opie, and it said, new guy goes by Opie. It was one word, all caps, and it said, mouth. Which is not a complimentary thing to say at an induction ceremony, but the important part was the notes that came after, because 2 weeks later there was a note that said, still mouth, but he's got some good ideas and he can back them up. And a month after that it said, this guy's going to do some damage. And then the year after that, which the year I co-captained the team with Opie, I had an entry that said, for some stupid reason they elected me co-captain, and thank God Opie is my co-captain, we're gonna be okay. And that has been true, right? You know, I played at an interesting time in Hodag history, because when I started, like, the team's always been good, but when I started, it felt very much like a team that was the sum of its parts. It was sort of like, who's on the team this year? Do they have enough attention to really devote to it? And somewhere in the late 90s to early 2000s, there was an inflection point, and it stopped being just sort of a tribal who you got kind of thing, and became an organization where the organization was bigger than just the sum of its parts. And that didn't happen just organically. That took work and intention and determination. And it didn't happen all at once either. Like, it was a process and lots of people were involved, but that process doesn't happen without Opie's involvement. He was instrumental in taking a team and not just being able to join it and become a part of it, but have the vision to see where it needs to go, like take it into new, uncharted territory. That was great. The team just doesn't look the way it does today without Opie's involvement. It just doesn't. The other story I would tell was my senior year. We were going to play a tournament down in Ohio, like Oberlin or Kenyon or something, and it wasn't like the regionals, like this is what's going to get us to nationals, but it counted. It counted for rankings. We were taking the weekend to go down there, and we were going to play for keeps. Like we wanted to win, and we had a good tournament. We got to the finals, and it had been a long tournament, and it was windy, and we were down a point or two. We were going upwind, and we needed an upwind point. We needed to score it so that we could then score downwind and get some momentum and sort of take the victory. And I was out on the line. I was with Opie, and Hector was out there, some other guys, and eventually he took a timeout, and Opie huddles us up, and he goes, all right, here's the play. And there was a lot of nuance to the play, but it basically broke down to Hector was going to come short, and if he was open, fine, but his job was really to try to draw some of the defense away to give Opie a chance to break, mark, and throw. And then Opie said, I'm going to throw it long, and Kel, you're going to go fetch it. And he looked around, and he looked at Hector. He's like, Hector, you good? And Hector, who's already like showing signs of greatness, he was a freshman then, but he was already getting good, like immediately understood the assignment. He's like, yup, like got it, dialed in. And Opie looked at me, and he's like, you good? And I did what bedeviled me my entire Frisbee career. I had a crisis of confidence, right? I was like, I don't know, man, like that's a strong headwind. I don't know if a deep throw is the right way to go. My legs are pretty torched, my mark's pretty fresh, and even if I get it, like my handling skills are garbage, like, I don't know, like, and I'm his co-captain, right? I'm supposed to be like backing him up, and I'm just like having a minor meltdown in front of the whole line. And Opie took it in stride, right? He didn't make a big deal of it, but he was just really clear and firm. He said, dude, this is the right thing to do. Given who we've got and where we are, like this is the right play. Don't overthink it. All that's going to happen is I'm going to break the mark and throw it, and you're going to go get it. And that is exactly what happened. And it was not an easy throw. I mean, he threw it into a postage stamp, which was the only place on the field that it was catchable. And he was right. I was the only person out there who was going to be able to catch it. Not because I was the best guy on the team, but just because who was on the line at that point? It was me. And I went and I got it. And it was a hard layout, and I snagged it, and the minute I landed, I knew I had damaged myself. It hadn't rained in like weeks, the ground was really hard, and I landed hard. And I've been playing competitive sports of one sort or another for like 45 years, and I've hurt myself more times than I can remember, and every time I do it, I come up cursing, because it was like dumb, it wasn't the time to really do that, or I did it wrong. Except that time. I came up smiling like a kid on Christmas morning because I got what any real athlete wants, which is an opportunity to do the very best that you can at a time when it matters. And the reason I got that opportunity is because my captain put me there. He did the work himself, and he believed that I could do it, even or especially when I didn't think I could. He let me elevate myself, and in so doing, elevated the entire team. And it was awesome. It has been a highlight of my athletic career, like in any sport that I've ever done. And that's what really good, really exceptional leaders do. That's like best of the best kind of stuff. Now, there's an epilogue to this story. And like any good epilogue, it takes place in a grimy McDonald's restaurant somewhere in the Chicagoland area, right? So we won that tournament, which was in Ohio, but it's just a weekend tournament. Like, we win on Sunday afternoon, we all got class on Monday, we gotta haul ass and get home so we can go to school. So we're making our way back, and we stop somewhere in Chicago, we go into McDonald's, and so we had won the tournament, and there was a trophy, and it was like a cup on top of it, right? Like an actual honest-to-God cup. And Opie brings the cup into McDonald's, and he orders a Chicken McNugget value meal, and dumps all the nuggets into the cup, and he starts marching around the restaurant like he's the sergeant major of a drum and bugle corps. He's singing the University of Wisconsin fight song, right? So he's going, on Wisconsin, charge right through that line. But like most of us, that's the only line of the song he knows. But he's also still mouth. So he takes this opportunity to heckle the citizens of the great state of Illinois. So he goes, like, he starts to ad-lib, and he's like, screw Illinois, hate you all, cause you cannot drive. And it's like mayhem, right? Shockingly, this is not going over very well with the other patrons. And they're not even pissed, they're just annoyed, right? They're just trying to go home to like Schaumburg or Naperville or whatever soulless suburb they live in, and they gotta deal with this clown. And so they're heckling him back, like somebody throws a French fry at him, like it's mayhem, right? And I'm watching all of this, and at this point, it is very clear to me that I've broken a rib, at least one. And if you've ever broken a rib, it sucks. It makes you feel so human, because breathing hurts, sneezing is agony, but laughing is like maybe the worst, because you're contracting all the muscles around a broken bone repeatedly. It just feels like you're being stabbed over and over. So Opie's making me laugh, and I'm also like wincing, and so I'm just up there like, I'm sitting in the booth and I'm watching all of this unfold, and eventually Opie sees me, and he comes over, he comes crashing over, he comes cannoning into the booth next to me, jams my ribs, and I have like a torrent of profanity comes out of my mouth. And he's like, what's going on, dude? We just won, like, why are you so sour? Like, have a nugget. I'm like, dude, I get it, I'm happy we won, but like, I'm pretty sure I broke a rib, man. And Opie gets really serious, and he puts the cup to the side, and he takes the salt and pepper shaker, and he takes my Coke. And he goes, yeah, actually, I was thinking about this all the way across Indiana. There's a better way to do this. Like, instead of having the stack right up the middle, move it over the sideline and, like, angle it 45 degrees. So it's going to open up some really interesting, like, passing lanes. And he was dead serious. But that is what a really good player does, too, right? He pursues excellence. He had not even finished his chalice of victory nuggets, and he's trying to figure out how to do it better. And that's what really exceptional guys do too, because excellence isn't a static thing. You don't just like win a tournament, be excellent, and be like, okay, I guess we're excellent now. You have to constantly go back and figure out what went right, what went wrong, and figure out how to do it better. Because excellence is a habit, and it's a habit that I have seen in Opie for as long as I have known him. So everybody that I've played Frisbee with in this room shows flashes of all of this stuff. Some guys just have long, great careers. Some guys give a lot back to the Ultimate community. Some people just go out and grind. Like I was never a really great Ultimate player, I just could really put in work. Some people elevate their teammates and thereby elevate the team, and some people just are constantly looking for how to make it better. When you run into someone who can do all of that consistently over a long period of time, that's very rare. When you meet somebody who can do all of that, you should stop and take a minute to recognize how lucky you are that you got to cross paths with them. When you meet somebody like that, it should go without saying, but you should put them in whatever Hall of Fame you have. And that's why we're here today. So, without further ado, it is my pleasure.
Man, this is gonna be a lot harder than I thought. A lot of people I really love in my life are in this room, so I'm gonna get through this best I can. First of all, big thanks to Brian and Jeff. You guys are like taking this program, the alumni thing. It's incredible. It's honestly one of the things I always want for my kids right now is like just to find something that they can feel a part of. And the Hodags has been that ever since I was 18 years old. So you guys keep taking it to further heights. I feel more a part of it than I did 5 years ago or 10 years ago or, even since I graduated. So like they said, like find a way to participate, and it's like, it's given to yourself more than anything. I'm connecting more with friends because we're doing the Crowley Award. People are being mentors, the kids are younger. I'm learning so much from the kids when I talk to them right now. So it's like so cool that we're building something, and really you guys are building something. And I'm planning to step it up more next year than I did like the last few for sure. Listen, when I came to Wisconsin, I thought I was the man with older frisbee. I played in high school, like all the things Kel said I did. I already played a year of club in high school because I was at a school where they had a club team and I had a coach who just volunteered and pushed me and pushed me and pushed me. So I thought I was like gonna do some big things. I was like, my chest is out. I'm like gonna wreck when I get to college. And then I met Kel. I met Jamin and like John Sokolowski and like Bruss, and these people are like, the vibe from these people is like, it's cool you like have these fancy throws, you are like talking a lot. Now we're gonna run. And we're gonna run some more. We're gonna run sprints, we're gonna run up this hill, we're gonna run up this empty building over and over again, we're gonna run up some stairs. We're gonna keep running. And then when we play, and I'm guarding you, or they're guarding me, they're like, I'm gonna be right next to you, I'm faster than you. And then if you turn it over, I'm just gonna run you. I'm just gonna keep running you. And those guys ran me to death when I was a freshman. And it was exactly what I needed. I needed like some humbling, some shut the hell up. And that became, for the time that I was a Hodag, that like constant pressure to push and push and push and push and do with your legs. It really became the ethos for our team. When I was, like Kel said, when I was the end of my freshman year, we lost a lot of incredible experienced players. Charlie is here, we were losing Jammin, so many good experienced players. And we had a lot of guys who were like hungry and were incredible athletes and would just abuse me like on all these workouts. And now the flip side of it was, for all you young guys, I cannot tell you how bad we were throwing. It's incredible how bad we were throwing. We're like really rarely breaking a mark. We got a couple like pretty iffy forehands even when there's like no wind. Some people are only doing one side, not their side. Like Hector's throwing with both hands. It's like our best thrower is Matty Anderson at 4'11". Like that's pretty messy in terms of offense. But those first couple of years where we just like committed as a team to, again, Kel, Bruss, you guys know who you are. We're not going to get beat under. We're not going to go away. We're going to play the whole game all the way to the bell. And if you don't stop us, we're going to beat you even if you're more sophisticated, even if you're a better thrower, even if you're more sophisticated offense. And those years when we were driving, we're driving minivans down to Florida or South Carolina or, New Orleans, whatever it is. Like those years where we're starting to really figure out who we are, in the back half of a game or the back half of a day or even like the back half of a tournament, like the Sunday afternoon stuff. And our guys, Paradise, all these kids just Rob Wagner, Lee Swing, Dusty, they're just running. They are not going to stop. They're in such good shape. And you could start to kind of see on the sideline or in the game, like the other team just give up a little bit more every few minutes. Maybe they don't come in as hard as the disc as they were before. Maybe on the mark they're leaning instead of shuffling. And you could just sort of see, they might not be up for this, because we're just going to keep going. We're going to keep running. There might not be a break. We're going to dump, swing forever. And we're just going to keep coming. And, Simon, who was coaching the team at that time, and I would sometimes do this real backwards thing. Don't do this. But if we thought the other team was sort of teetering in terms of like just willpower, we would occasionally intentionally put in a line of people who absolutely could not throw, but would run to death, would run you to death. They may not like complete 5 passes. There might be 10 turnovers in the point, but it would last 20 minutes. And at the end, the other team might like kind of just be done. You know what I'm saying? Like we call it putting them in the S box. Like we're just gonna try to put you in here right now. And like some of the stuff that, you know, the infrastructure at that time is like, I think, you know, to Kel's point, what I tried to bring to the team was, how can we make this for more people? You know, we had no tryouts when I showed up, and I was like, well, what if we put posters all over campus and try to get 100 kids and have tryouts? What if we had a B team so twice as many kids could play? You know, what if we showed kids who didn't know about Ultimate before, if you do this, you can be on the team. If you do this, you can get playing time. If you do this, you'll play more. Just show everybody a path. So if like they played a little bit of Ultimate or they're interested in Ultimate, if they're gonna show up, they're gonna see a path, and if they want to take the next step and the next step and the next step, there's like a way for you to go. And you know, when I was graduating, well, I'll say like the year after I left, the team went to the finals. They had great leadership, great kids, and the year after they won the championship. And I remembered from a couple years earlier, somebody I was graduating with, I don't know, one of y'all was like, probably not somebody here actually, but was like, you know, it could be tough for the Hodags the year after we graduate, you know, because we were graduating a bunch of kids, a bunch of seniors, a lot of experience. And I was like, look at what we're leaving behind. There's 50 kids there who are all seeing us grind every single day, grind against each other, grind in tournaments, work. I don't really know like which of the kids is going to be the ones that decides they want to really go for it, but there's so many of them now, and they've all seen it, they know what it takes now. Every single one. Not everyone's going to try to do it, but some of those kids are going to try to do it. And when they won the championship 2 years later, that's like, oh man. I was so proud of that team. You know, I had nothing to do with it, but you know, some of those kids were kids I cut because we didn't have a spot for them, or they were freshmen, or Ryan Carrington we cut, but he was on the B team, he could see a path. He's like, if I do this, I'll make the team. If I do this, and that was the captain. Brian Paradise was on the B team. Those guys came in and they would just grind. And, you know, somewhere along the line, we decided people should know when we're showing up at the tournament what's about to happen to them. We should have a logo that shows them what's about to happen to them. We should have a color that shows them what's going to happen. We should have a sideline presence. We should have a warm-up. We should have a huddle so that they know that we're showing up and something is going to happen to them, and they know what's going to be. Maybe they'll beat us, but they know it's not going to be easy. We're going to go all the way to the rope with them, and it's going to be really, really, really hard. That's like, I would never have imagined that dozens or maybe hundreds of people, including myself, would be tattooed with this logo at this point. People would be wearing baby blue ink on their skin all over the world and the country. But like, I'm just so grateful for every one of you that put up with my bullshit all the time when I was a freshman and beyond to this day. I'm thankful to Kel for all the crazy nice things you said about me. Everybody who just came out here, like, left their families, flew on airplanes. You guys are friends for life, and thank you. The day they won, Nate and 3 or 4 of us went right to the tattoo parlor. Never been to a tattoo.
We were in DC.
All right, well, you know, I can't wrap it up any better than that, I don't think. So let's go hit Scotty's bar and for those of you, hopefully, you will be watching Opie in action.
You in action.
So let's go see it, okay? Hey, if you see Brad in the back, he's got some discs for sale.